relationship. She wants to go do something fun. She's definitely not looking for love. She meets a silver fox called James. She says, well, that's fine. We'll not see him again. She meets a young American called Josh. It's a lot of will they, won't they? And then, of course, James shows up, and then she's got to make a choice. It's perfect. It's simple. I read it in 2 days, and it hit the spot.
Nice. Awesome.
But hold on, PJ. I think I hear the telephone ringing.
Oh, who's this?
Hey, you're through to Books Boys. You've got Dean on the line. Who's calling?
Hi, this is Sandy Barker. I'm calling from Melbourne, Australia.
Hi, Sandy. You know, it's a good coincidence you've called in because we were literally just talking about your book that I just read, One Summer in Santorini. So that was well timed.
Well, I have the sixth sense about these things.
How are you?
Yeah, we're good. We're coming into spring now, so we've got that to look forward to. But yeah, I was really excited to see on social media that you were reading my book.
I was indeed, yes. I had it on Instagram. So is this your first one?
Yes, actually, it's my first one. And, this phone call is very timely, actually, because I just finished yesterday writing I think it's my seventh book, which is actually the fifth one in this series. So Santorini is actually the start of a 5-book series, and books 4 and 5 are coming out next year. So yeah, it's my very first book with one more chapter. And I just can't believe that it was only a couple of years ago that it was published, and now here we are. I've just had my 5th book out with them, and I'm writing book 7, so it's all happening. It's all trundling along very well.
That's a very high rate. I mean, because this book's only been out a couple of years, as you say. Are you typically writing more than one per year then?
I am. When I got the publishing contract with One More Chapter, I already had 3 books finished. So they took them on, they're like, we'll publish those. So that was Santorini, That Night in Paris, and A Sunset in Sydney. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of already ahead of the writing schedule. And then in 2019, I pitched to them The Christmas Swap, which was my 4th book, and that came out last year. And then mid last year, I pitched to them The Dating Game, which is the book that's just come out a few weeks ago. So I do work, so I do have a day job as well, and I only work 4 days a week at the moment, but I do tend to write pretty quickly. It's taken me, the last book that I've just finished is called A Wedding in Tuscany, so no spoilers, but there are 2 sisters in the series, Sarah, who was in One Summer in Santorini, and her sister Kat, and one of the sisters is getting married, and I started writing that book probably back in, I want to say May. And so it's about 4 months part-time writing. Yeah.
Wow. So, because you're getting through these quickly, but you're working as well. So that's very impressive.
Well, thank you. It is. People are like, how do you do it? And I fire back with, how do you have children and a career? My partner and I, we don't have children. So I know that does free up kind of a lot of time and mental space and emotional space from other writers. And, I know a lot of writers who are school teachers, and I used to be a school teacher, and I know that they don't, they're not 9 to 5. They don't work their 40 hours a week and call it good. They're working 60-hour weeks, mm-hmm. and they are writing books. So I never complain if I feel like it's a bit much or intense. I do my 4 days. I don't bring work home, and I can fit the writing in around that. But, living in Melbourne, we have the dubious honor of being the city that has been in lockdown for the longest in the entire world.
Wow.
So we've had 9 months, literally 9 months in the last 18 months of lockdown. And you're not allowed to go, X amount of kilometers from your home. You're not allowed to have visitors. You're not allowed to leave the home except for these 5 reasons, like full lockdown.
Well, so you're in full lockdown still? Wow.
We are still in full lockdown. We've got another month to go. But, the silver lining to that is it really does free up a lot of time for writing, because there's not much else to do. There's only so much Netflix you can watch.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize that anywhere was still in like, full lockdown. I thought everyone was doing a kind of partial, maybe there's some restrictions. That's quite intense to still be in full lockdown.
It is. And we've kind of gone into it and come out and gone into it and come out. And so this last stint was supposed to be like 3 days, and it's been 2.5 months now, and we've got another month to go. But look, I think it's it's really highlighted how much the writing is an escape, not just for my readers, because I write travel fiction. It's also an escape for me. When I was writing Tuscany, I went back to all my photographs of the last time I was there, and I was reading kind of my travel blogs and lots of desktop research and watching movies set in Tuscany. And it's nice and immersive for me. It's kind of my armchair travel is writing these books. So I have, as I said, it's a silver lining. And I think as well, one of the things that's really been highlighted to me in the last year and a half is how wonderful the writing community is. I mean, we're just so supportive of each other, and it's particularly when you're a romance author. I mean, we are genuinely just all cheering each other on. It's like, you go girl, you go guy. And I've had people host me on their blogs. I host authors on my blogs. We're interacting on social media all the time. So it's kind of my online happy space, that I can retreat to mentally, even though we're confined to the same, 6 rooms in our apartment. I think both of those have been really, really helpful in kind of keeping my wits and keeping positive about the global situation.
Good. No, it's good that you're right. One positive aspect of it is that we have time to work on projects and writing and things like that. I did a tremendous amount of art during the lockdown over here, so I understand where you're coming from. So I was going to display my knowledge and be impressive and say, well, I've only read One Summer in Santorini, but I'm aware that we've got one in Paris and Sydney. But you beat me to that, so now it sounds like I didn't know at all.
No, you did. You absolutely did. I know you did. I know you do your research on this podcast.
So we've got Tuscany, and what's coming next?
So the next book in the series, book 4, is called, it's set in Bali. We're just kind of finalizing the title at the moment, but it's a supporting character from That Night in Paris called Jay Lee, and she goes on sabbatical to Bali and meets a hot Scot. So it's set in both Bali and in Edinburgh. And I wrote that because in 2018, my partner and I went on sabbatical. We packed up and traveled for about 13 months and lived, we moved to places and would live there. So we lived in Bali for 2 months. And it was our, part of our sabbatical. And, we lived in this wonderful community for digital nomads. And it really inspired this book. I wanted to send a character there. And I was just kind of thinking, which of my characters, in all of the books, not just the main characters, which of my characters can I send to Bali? So I sent Jay Lee there. And so that's coming in February next year. And then in A Wedding in Tuscany, we kind of pull everybody together. So the 2 sisters, Kat and Sarah, and their supporting cast of characters from all the other books kind of converge on Tuscany for a wedding. But as I think I said, I'm not revealing which sister's getting married. So that I'm working on that. And then once I've kind of got those ready to go, I'm going to start on a follow-up to the Christmas Swap. So when I started writing the Christmas Swap, when did I start writing that? A year and a half ago now. I wrote it as a standalone. I didn't know it was going to have a follow-up, but there were a lot of cries when readers got their hands on it of what happens next, what's going to happen with all of these women. And it's about 3 best friends one lives in Melbourne, one lives in Colorado, and one lives in London. And they decide to swap Christmases for the holidays. And, I write rom-coms, so of course they all meet a love interest. And now I'm going to be writing the follow-up to that. So there's always something in the pipeline. I don't think there's any rest for wicked authors. Yeah,
it sounds like you've no intention of resting, to be honest.
Yeah, I absolutely love writing, and the aim is to become a full-time author.
Yeah.
So